Have you ever felt like someone was trying to become you, not just copying how you talk or how you walk or the way you style your hair, but replicating your memories, your relationships, every tiny detail of your life? In today's story, a chilling and almost unbelievable true Reddit story. You'll hear the journey of a girl whose life was slowly stolen by someone she once called her best friend. From being impersonated online to uncovering the real identity behind the mask, a person who didn't just want to be her, but wanted to erase her from existence. This is one of the darkest, most disturbing Reddit dramas ever told. And when the truth finally comes out, you'll find yourself asking, am I really the one living my life? Or is someone else out there living it for me? Chapter 1. We used to be best friends. I used to have a best friend who I thought would be my maid of honor one day. Someone I trusted completely, someone I loved like a sister. She was the kind of girl who always ranked first in class, spoke softly, and lit up the entire room when she smiled. Her name was Amara. We met in sixth grade. At first, we were just in the same presentation group, but soon we were stuck together like glue. There was a time I got bullied for my frizzy curls, and it was Amara who stepped forward and boldly said, her hair is beautiful. It looks like clouds. After that, the bullies went silent, and I became certain I had found the friend who would walk through life with me. Back then, Amara was very different from who she is now. She loved her caramel brown skin. Whenever someone asked why she didn't try to be a bit lighter, you'd look prettier, she would just laugh, wave them off, and say, I'm not toothpaste. I don't need to be white and bright. I used to think she was the embodiment of confidence, the kind of person who knew who she was and didn't need to please anyone. Amara's family wasn't well off either. Her mom worked two jobs, and her dad had passed away when she was only 5, but she always carried this upbeat energy like life might suck, but I don't. I used to be a little envious. Even though her circumstances were tough, she always walked with her back straight and her eyes held high. Meanwhile, I, the daughter of well-educated white parents, was often timid, shy, and afraid of being judged. We shared everything: lipstick secrets, test answers, and even stupid heartbreaks. There was this one time when a senior dumped me coldly just because I looked too plain, and Amara gathered our whole friend group to perform a collective curse on him. Just joking. But the way she defended me made me feel like I mattered. Like if anyone dared to look down on me, Amara would be the first to punch them in the face. And then time passed. High school came rushing in with all its pressure: college prep, grades, stress, social media, and those ridiculous beauty standards from digital filters. I started noticing Amara changing slowly but surely. She didn't like the sun anymore. From a girl who used to joke we're living chocolate, Amara started being afraid of getting darker. She covered herself up so much that she looked like a ninja every time we went out. One time I joked, "What, you training to join the special ops or something?" She didn't laugh. She just quietly said, "You're white. You wouldn't understand." At the time, I just thought it was funny. We were still best friends, right? What was she even saying? But that was the first time I realized there was a distance forming between us. A distance I didn't know would eventually lead to something so horrifying. Chapter 2. The Obsession Begins. I don't remember exactly when things started to fall apart. Maybe it was when Amara began signing up for these strange beauty treatments and hid them from me. Or maybe it was when she suddenly deleted all her old Instagram photos and replaced them with pictures of her skin edited to a ghostly white, with oversized eyes and lips puffed up like she'd just gotten filler. I asked, are you using one of those Chinese apps or something? That doesn't even look like you. She just gave a dry laugh. That's what people like now. Haven't you seen the trend? I had seen it. But I never thought she would follow it, the girl who once proudly said, I'm not anyone's bootleg version. But it seemed she'd started to doubt herself. Little by little, she switched her moisturizer. Then she started drinking something advertised as a skin detox. Then came IV whitening drips. Then something murkier that she never quite explained. She said, I'm just upgrading myself. Who doesn't want to look better? I had no real argument. I'd looked at myself in the mirror before and hated my own nose. But there was something in Amara's eyes that sent a chill down my spine, a kind of intensity that bordered on desperation. Like if she didn't change, she would collapse completely. Then one day, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo of me sleeping in my room, hair sprawled out my nightlight, casting a faint glow. The photo was taken at an angle from my window. I froze. I live on the second floor. The only way to see into my window is from the roof of the neighboring house. My hands trembled as I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. But a few hours later, I got another message from Amara, casual as ever. "You free tonight? Come over for Korean food." I didn't mention anything to her. I thought maybe someone was pulling a prank, but from that day on, I constantly felt like I was being watched, like I no longer had any space to myself. A few weeks later, I went to Amara's place just like usual, but something was off this time. She had a mini fridge in her room. Amara had always been frugal. She wasn't the type to splurge. But now, that room no longer felt like it belonged to my best friend. While she went to get us water, curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the fridge. Inside was a tray of small test tubes filled with pale pink liquid. Some were labeled with codes. There was also a notebook with the words, "Skin Experiment Number 12, Adaptive Cells." I pulled my hand back like I'd been shocked by electricity. Amara walked in right after, and I quickly forced a laugh. "Well, what are you up to?" "Cooking up some DIY skincare," she said. Nothing picked up. One of the little tubes turned it slowly in her hand. Then she looked at me with a strange expression, like she was measuring me. "Do you know, your skin has such an even tone, like a naturally fair kind of white. Not blotchy like those artificial whitening cases." I just laughed awkwardly, something like, thanks, and looked for a way to leave as soon as possible. But right then, a thought echoed in my mind. Still formless, but loud. She wasn't just obsessed with beauty anymore. She was obsessed with me. Chapter 3. She wanted to become me. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it, that maybe Amara was just going through a rough patch. I mean, who doesn't change over time, right? But then piece by piece, things started to show up. And when I finally connected them all, it became horrifyingly clear. About a week after that day, I accidentally left my phone at Amara's house. She called me and said I could swing by the next morning to get it since it was already late. I agreed, though I couldn't shake a slight feeling of unease. The next morning when I arrived, her front door was ajar. I called softly. Amara, no response. I gently pushed the door open and stepped inside. The living room was silent, save for the low hum of a fan. Then I heard something coming from the bedroom. Not exactly a voice, more like a recording being played at low volume. I walked closer, and inside that room, the first thing I saw was a giant corkboard covering the wall, covered entirely in photos of me. I froze. Photos of me at school, at a cafe, sleeping on the bus, shopping with my mom. Every single one had been taken in secret, and underneath each photo there were tiny handwritten notes, loose layered curls, left profile, eyes slightly droopy when smiling. Remember, neck area skin tone shade 23. I turned and my heart nearly stopped. At her vanity, Amara was carefully attaching a scanned image of my face onto a white silicone mask, as if she were trying to create a replica version of me. I turned and bolted, but just as I stepped out of the room, I saw my phone sitting on the dining table, screen lit and recording. I yanked out the charger and ran for the door. A few hours later, Amara messaged me, "You saw it, didn't you? Sorry I didn't get to show you properly. I just wanted to understand you, to feel you from the inside. You are the perfect being. And I want to Merge with you. I didn't reply. I blocked her number, blocked her on every social media platform, told my mom, and changed every lock in the house. But you know what's even more terrifying? A few days later, I discovered a lock of my hair had been cut off from the nape of my neck, just enough that you wouldn't notice unless you knew exactly how thick your hair was. And I did. Amara had been inside my house. Chapter 4: The Person in the Mirror. After the hair incident, I barely slept for a week. I covered all my windows, installed new locks, even bought a mini security camera to place in my bedroom. I didn't dare tell anyone because who would believe something this insane that my best friend, the person I once saw as a sister, was trying to become me? I even considered going to the police, but I backed down. I had no proof she'd entered the house. No signs of forced entry. Nothing. Just a vague sense of dread and a missing lock of hair. Until one evening, my mom walked into my room with a strange look on her face. "Are you using a new perfume?" I frowned. "No. Still using the same scent." "That's odd. The housekeeper said your room smelled strange this morning, like some kind of disinfectant." It hit me like a splash of cold water. That very night, I opened up the mini camera I'd set up in my room. My hands were trembling as I fast-forwarded through the footage from the previous night, and then I saw it. 3:27 a.m. My bedroom door slowly creaked open. A shadowy figure walked in. No lights, no sound. She walked straight to my bed, stood there watching me sleep for 2 full minutes, not moving. Then she pulled something from her coat pocket, a small vial or test tube, and pressed it against my cheek. I screamed in my room, hurling the phone across the floor. It hit the edge of my desk and shattered. My mom rushed in panicking while I nearly lost my mind. I told her everything. No more hiding. She immediately dragged me to the police station, but just like I feared, they couldn't do much. The footage was too blurry. No face visible, no fingerprints, no direct bodily harm. I wanted to scream, "So what, you'll only act when I'm cut open." I returned to my life. But ever since then, every time I looked into the mirror, I felt like someone else was looking back at me, not just a reflection, but something or someone studying every movement, every expression, as if rehearsing. And then it happened. One morning I got called into the homeroom teacher's office. "You called in sick yesterday. Why are you here today?" I froze. I I didn't call in. "We received a phone call. Your voice, your name, full student ID. You said you had a stomach ache." I stammered, denying it. But she didn't believe me. Later, a classmate whispered to me, "Someone who looked just like you was standing from afar watching the class yesterday. Hair jacket, the way they moved. It was exactly you. We thought you'd come back." I shivered. That night, I received an envelope slid under my door. Inside was a scanned image of my face, digitally edited. Higher cheekbones, deeper eyes, a smaller nose, and a line underneath that read, "New update, perfected version." Chapter 5: Portrait of a Madwoman. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to do something. I couldn't keep living with the fear that at any moment someone wearing my face would show up somewhere, replace me, and live my life. I started following Amara. I know how that sounds. Wrong, invasive. But after everything she had done, I no longer cared about lines or boundaries. I needed answers. I created a fake social media account and sent her a friend request. Amara thought it was someone new she accepted right away. Then she started posting again. Photos, cryptic status updates like rebirth, accepting the true self, becoming what I craved the most. They sounded vague, poetic even, but every line sent chills down my spine. Especially one post. "When she sleeps, I can see her face is nearly perfect." I've copied 94% so far. Just the voice left, and her morning eyes. I sat frozen. I needed to know more. I tracked her location through a tagged story and found the boarding house she was staying at. I went there. It was an old rundown building at the edge of town, practically abandoned. I arrived in the late afternoon. The hallway lights flickered. No one was around. Her room door was slightly ajar. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The first thing that hit me was the smell of dried blood, then glue, and something that resembled burnt flesh. The tiny room was covered wall to wall with pictures of me. But this time it wasn't just photos. There were masks, wigs, colored contact lenses, pieces of clothing exactly like the ones I used to wear. On the table there was a laptop still open. I walked toward it trembling. One folder was open mirror. Final files. I clicked on an audio file. Day 147. My skin reacted to the new DNA sample, possibly due to the blood from the hairbrush. Next, I'll try using skin cells from the sleepwear top. I actually threw up. Right there. Then came a video. It was me or no Amara wearing a silicone mask standing in front of a mirror practicing lines. Good morning, Mom. It's me. Don't you remember? You were tired last night, so you slept in? She mimicked my voice, my tone, my facial expressions. She was rehearsing to become me. And then I heard the door open. Amara, standing there wearing the dress I'd lost months ago, her hair exactly like mine, the same color, same cut, same soft curls. She looked at me, smiled, and said, "You're a bit early. I haven't perfected your morning eyes yet. I don't remember how I screamed or how I ran or how I barreled down the stairs, but I got out that night. And for the first time, my mother fully believed me after hearing the recording and seeing that room. We went to the police. But when we returned to the boarding house, the room was empty. Everything was gone, like it had never existed. The only thing left behind was a partially burned mask, forgotten beneath the bed." Chapter 6. The Voice on the Phone. After that night, I moved back in with my mom. I couldn't live alone anymore. Every shadow in the mirror gave me chills. Every footstep in the hallway made me spin around in fear. My mom took time off work to stay home with me. I knew she was exhausted, but it was thanks to her that I didn't completely fall apart. I changed my phone number, froze all my social media accounts, paused my studies. The police were still investigating, the kind of investigation that treats it like a lost email, not like a woman trying to replace my entire existence. I tried to recover. I really did. I learned to meditate, kept a journal, even tried that weird self-affirmation thing in the mirror every morning, like you are you. You're not crazy. You're the original. But then it happened. One night around 2 a.m., the landline phone rang. I wasn't going to answer it. But my mom stirred awake, walked out of her room and called from downstairs. "Sweetie, it's your friend on the phone." Her voice was very soft. She said she wants to apologize. I felt cold. I went downstairs, picked up the phone. "Hello," no reply, just the sound of someone breathing in. And then my voice came through. "Mom, I'm feeling a little tired today. Could you make breakfast for Dad instead of me?" I stood frozen. That was me. My voice. Not similar, identical. I couldn't speak. My hand started trembling, and then the voice on the other end said, "The old version seems a little worn out. How about I take over for a while?" I threw the phone to the ground, bolted out the door, gasping for air. My mom rushed after me, panicked, asking what happened. I couldn't even cry. All I could do was whisper, She copied my voice too." We went to the police the next morning, but it was the same story. Not enough evidence, can't trace the unknown number. And I started wondering what even belongs to me anymore. My name, my face, my voice. Was there anything I truly owned? Then my mom suggested something. "We're going to see someone. Your uncle, he used to be a criminal psychologist. He might understand the kind of person Amara is." I had no better option. I agreed, and the next evening we went to meet Uncle Alan. He stared at me for a long time, and then he said something that sent chills all over my body. "You think she wants to become you? No, she doesn't want to be a copy. She wants to replace you, and to succeed at that, the original has to disappear." Chapter 7. The Copycat's Past. Uncle Alan isn't the type to speak in vague metaphors. He's worked with serial killers' patients with extreme delusional disorders, and people so confident they believed themselves to be a superior species. So when he looked me in the eye and said, "That girl doesn't just want to live like you, she wants to replace you. And to do that, she will make you disappear socially, legally, or worse, biologically." I knew he wasn't joking. We began digging into Amara's records. There wasn't much. She had changed her name 3 times. Her real name was Lena Moore. And this is the part that sent shivers down my spine. She was the sole surviving witness of an orphanage fire back in 2009. The orphanage was called Sunvale Home for Girls. It had once been under investigation for allegedly forcing young girls to perform identity therapy, a twisted type of treatment meant to help children integrate by teaching them to become someone else. Lena, aka Amara, was the only girl who survived the fire. No one knew how she made it out. But after that incident, Lena was transferred from one facility to another, and each time it was accompanied by a strange disappearance of her closest roommate. There was no solid evidence, but it happened 3 times. 3 girls, 3 different identities, 3 temporary copies, and Lena always the last one standing. The most recent case was in 2019. A girl named Natalie Ross drowned in a bathtub. And coincidentally, that's when Amara started using the name Natalie and enrolled in university under it. The police couldn't do anything, no evidence. And now it was my turn. It felt like my whole life was a script she had written long ago. I asked Uncle Alan, "So what am I supposed to do? Just run forever?" He paused, then said, "If you want this to end, you have to make her show her true face in front of everyone." He meant trapping her, forcing her into the light. I asked, trembling, "What if she hurts me?" He didn't hesitate. "Then at the very least, people will know you are the original, and she is the deranged imposter." I wasn't sure if that was meant to comfort me or warn me, but I knew one thing: I couldn't keep living under that shadow. Couldn't keep being terrified of my own reflection. I needed to end this, even if it meant stepping into her twisted game, even if it meant facing her head on. Chapter 8. The game begins. I used to think that if I just disappeared, she would go away. That if I changed my number, deleted my social media, withdrew from life, everything would stop. I was completely wrong. Because someone like Amara, or rather Lena, doesn't need me to exist. She just needs a reason to take my place. And if I vanish, it's an open invitation for her to walk in. No need to even knock. So I did something that just weeks ago would have sounded insane. I came back. I reopened my social media accounts. I posted a new picture with the caption, "Feels good to be myself again." Thanks to someone for reminding me who that is. That night, around midnight, my clone account messaged me, "Oh, you're still alive." I simply replied, "Not just alive, ready." I told Uncle Alan and my mom. Then I started setting the trap. I created an event on Facebook, Meet the Real Me, a personal art exhibition. It sounded ridiculous, I know, but in reality, I just rented a small room at the local community center and plastered the walls with pictures of me from babyhood to now. Real pictures, with my mom there to verify every moment. Photos of me learning to walk with my dad. Photos from when I got braces in 6th grade. Photos where my face was swollen like a steamed bun from a pollen allergy. All of it to show I'm a real person, with a real history, with a real past. The exhibition was just a cover. The real goal, to drag her into the light, and she showed up. I saw Amara walk in. She was wearing the dress I wore at my 17th birthday party, the one my mom had made especially for me. She had dyed her hair brown again, styled it just like I did in high school. And her voice. God, when she spoke, "Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah." The entire room went silent. I stood at the edge of the small stage, looked her straight in the eyes, and turned on the mic. "Know you're Lena Moore, born in 1998, the sole survivor of the Sunvale Orphanage fire." And the person who's been impersonating me all this time. The crowd started murmuring. She looked at me, her expression unchanged. Then she smiled. You think I'll admit it in front of everyone? I pointed to the wall. To the photo right behind her, me and my mom in the hospital the day I was born. With a doctor's signature. With my mom in the frame. If you're me, who's the woman in that picture? She started backing away. That's when my mom stepped onto the stage, took my hand, and spoke loudly. I'm her mother. You I have never given birth to. Phones started flashing. People were recording. Someone was already calling the police. Lena, or Amara, or whatever name she wanted to use, turned and ran. But this time I didn't. I chased after her. I was no longer the girl afraid of shadows in the mirror. I was myself, and I had just reclaimed my voice, my face, and my name. Chapter 9. The End. The Price of Truth. I wish I could say everything wrapped up neatly like in a movie. That she was arrested on the spot, handcuffed, forced to confess, and my life returned to normal, as if Amara had never walked into it. But real life doesn't come with dramatic background music. Just months and months of slow-moving legal procedures. The police didn't arrest her that day because, simply put, identity impersonation isn't enough to get someone cuffed if there's no clear criminal offense. No financial fraud, no theft, no direct threat of harm. It took an old video Uncle Alan found on a dusty hard drive, a video of Lena at age 13, wearing a paper mask shaped like her roommate's face, mumbling into a mirror, I'm you. I'm you. Everyone loves you. Now, they'll love me. It wasn't enough to convict her, but it was a crucial clue, one that helped Uncle Alan convince the court to reopen the investigation into her past, especially the suspicious death of Natalie Ross. Lena, aka Amara, was placed under mandatory psychiatric supervision while the investigation proceeded. Her lawyer fought hard, citing identity confusion stemming from childhood trauma, but the court-appointed psychiatrist wasn't buying it, and this time, no one was willing to look away. A few weeks later, I got an anonymous message. You'll always be the one I wanted to become. But not everyone has enough flesh and bone to turn dreams into reality. Creepy, absolutely. But strangely, I wasn't afraid anymore. I kept that email as a reminder. Sometimes victory doesn't look like justice served. Sometimes it's just refusing to let fear run your life. I started going to therapy regularly, not because I was weak, but because I was strong enough to admit the past leaves marks. But I don't need to wear them like a badge every day. I reopened my social media for real this time. No clones, no copies. I posted a photo of my mom, Uncle Alan, and me. All three of us smiling in front of the old bakery where I used to work. The caption, being yourself. No filters, no scripts. Just enough courage to stop running. You know what? The post didn't blow up. No crazy likes, no viral traction, no trending tag, but a girl I hadn't spoken to since middle school commented, "You're back. You're really the Hannah I remember." And I cried, not out of sadness, not even from overwhelming emotion, but because for the first time in a very, very long time, I didn't have to look in the mirror to remind myself who I was. I knew. So you've just heard a story that isn't just about identity theft. It's about memory fear and the haunting terror of being replaced. Hannah's story reminds us of one chilling truth. Not all monsters carry knives. Some only need a name, a photo, and a stolen past to destroy you. If this story gave you chills, caught you off guard, or simply kept you hooked till the end, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever met someone like Amara, or felt like you were being watched by a version of yourself? This is True Reddit Reads, where real stories make you question even the reflection staring back at you.